Today we have with us Jen Stoney. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning, Carla. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
So, I am a sacred, sober sexuality expert. So, I work with successful, sober women and help them reclaim their sexuality and come back home to themselves. I'm also a happily married wife for over 11 years and a mom to two little boys. And I love the work that I get to do. It's just such a gift.
That's amazing. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey that led you to all of this?
Okay, let me sum it up. It's like a lot of people, my mess turned into my message. So, I am over 15 years sober from drugs and alcohol, and which is just wild when I really think about it. And during my using, during my addictive times, there's a lot of sexual assault, rape, and also working in a strip club. And so with that evolution came a lot of codependent ways, a lot of controlling and manipulative ways to also make sure that I could always get my drink and my drug, and also that I could get my validation from men. So when I decided to quit drinking and go to a 12-step meeting for the first time, I got sober for a man, which is my husband. I stayed sober for myself 6 months later. But, you know, the drink is one part of an addiction. The evolution is there's a lot of healing. Anyone can put down the drink. Not anyone can be sober, happy, joyous, and free. And so 4 years into our relationship, we were a year married. My husband had an affair, and it brought me to my rock bottom. It was one of the darkest moments of my life. And that darkness came out to be one of the most greatest, beautiful gifts of my life. And we were separated for nearly 2.5 years. We almost got divorced. We had hired attorneys, spent thousands of dollars, went to court, and 3 weeks before it was finalized, we reconciled. And so, but during this time, I really dove deep into myself. I moved in with my parents in the room above the garage so I could pay a mortgage payment to a high level coach and truly release these patterns that I had been bringing into all of these relationships, not just with my marriage. There were so many other toxic relationships I was in. So now here I am today, getting to coach women along this beautiful journey of happy destiny, pleasure, romance, and love.
Wow. Can you talk about codependency recovery?
Yes. So codependency to me was harder than getting sober. So getting sober, like people celebrated that shit, okay? Like I had gotten arrested several times. I went to the psych ward. I had attempted suicide. Like it was not pretty. So when I got sober, people were like, "Oh my God, thank God." And my mom could finally go to sleep without worrying all night of where I was. And when I worked on my codependency, I learned that I got to say no to people, and I got to choose to say no without explanation. And saying no without explanation was a whole new thing, and setting boundaries and really choosing, what do I like? What do I not like? And knowing that when I say no to someone, I'm saying yes to myself. And so as I really dove deep into this and really saw how worthy we all are, and knew that I couldn't get love from people. I already had all the love within me, and
Right.
there's an abundance of love in the world. So working on my codependency was really like crawling out of my skin. But it was one of the most satisfying things that, I still work on today. There's still bits and pieces there, just like we're human. So, yeah.
Yeah. And what would you say has been the biggest difference in your relationship as different relationships as you've worked on this codependency recovery?
You know, a lot of what I coach people on is being unapologetic. And so my relationships being unapologetically me has really served to release people from my life and continue to create beautiful relationships with those who are meant to be in my life, and to no longer try to force or pry or be needy. And it's really created beautiful self-trust within myself, but also being able to know that I get to have these relationships and there's no force. It's less exhausting. You know, when you get out of a conversation with somebody and you're just so filled up and excited,
Right.
and there's no longer that exhaustion of that force, that need. It's it's such a beautiful gift to be able to have relationships where you are in this partnership together because you want to be, not because you have to be, not because you're trying to get something.
Right.
And to be so loving and kind towards others. You know, you can tell when you're in a relationship with someone who's criticizing you, bringing up shit from a year ago, and it's just annoying, and it's needy, it's clingy, it's that desperation, it's the manipulation, and it doesn't feel good.
Right. Right.
Right.
And you have to prepare for those interactions, and
Yes.
that has changed. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
So, can you tell me about sacred, sober sexuality?
Yeah. So it's such a beautiful gift to be able to connect with our body as women. But as a sober woman in recovery, it went far past that. And, you know, I have the gift of working with women who they have a foundation in their sobriety and they have a foundation in their recovery, right? So, and they're able to reclaim their sexuality and create and get to know who they are, what they like, what they don't like. And as women, I've worked with so many medical doctors, corporate women who come to me and they say, Jen, I don't know. I want people to take me seriously. I don't want to be misconstrued. And so often we think that when we're in our sexual power, walking into a boardroom is going to give people the wrong opinion, when actually it does just the opposite. It's that power, that confidence, that fire within you. A woman in her sexual power walking into a boardroom can close deals with such ease, such flow, but also she's able to really feel pleasure in and out of the bedroom. And so, you know, we think about problems in the bedroom, sexuality, really reclaiming your sexuality. First of all, 80% of problems in the bedroom are solved outside of the bedroom. So you need to remember that, but also it's coming back home to ourselves and really learning of who we are, and it's honoring our vulvas, our vaginas, and really honoring that womb space energy. And as a mom of two that have given natural birth to two children, it's learning the evolution and the seasons of womanhood and how beautiful and sacred they are, and to really reclaim and get to know yourself after, right? Like I got to know myself and blessed my vagina after the infidelity with my husband. I also did it after both childbirths. You know, looking at your vagina, getting to know her, honoring her instead of shaming her and just not even looking at her or being disgusted by her. It's really learning that, you know, life comes through us. There's such great power in our sexuality, and we've been shamed for so long. It's okay as a man to be just, you know, a sexual being, always a man. But a woman in her sexual power is so powerful, but also so unconditionally loving and kind, and just flows with the universe and can say yes with ease and doesn't overcomplicate things. So often we think sexuality has to do with orgasms and that's it. No, it has to do with being turned on by life.
Right.
And the bedroom is that much better,
Right.
but it's really not. It's learning to expand out of your box and unapologetically own what you love and experiencing it and incorporating it into your life and getting to know that by unpacking all the gunk from your past.
And what's one thing they could do today just to start on that journey?
You know, I would say today to start out, for even if I love setting alarms in my phone. I love that. I think when I worked in the auto industry for nearly 10 years as a finance manager, and it's a very male dominated field. And so when I was going through the infidelity and I was reconnecting with my feminine energy and really harnessing that energy that I've ever done. So I made a joke the other day, and that was that I used to think that connecting with your feminine energy meant like keeping a house clean and making dinner. Like that's really what I thought it was 11 years ago. I was like, okay, my husband's having an affair. I need to be a better wife. That will fix it. So really, I had no idea how to connect with my feminine energy. I was so guarded. I had so many walls up. There was so much gunk. There was so much trauma that I needed to release and heal, that setting an alarm to connect with my heart in the middle of the day, like I would have so many alarms going off. But here's the thing, anyone can have alarms going off. Not everybody can get up and take action when they go off. It's just like anybody can have a diet plan in their house. Not everybody follows it.
Right. Right.
So it's taking that action. So connecting. So if you're listening right now and you're like, I want more peace, more joy, more love and connection in my life, start connecting with yourself. Our relationships are a mirror of what's going on inside. Like attracts like. And so if you want beautiful relationships, start healing the one with yourself. So, and you could be like, come on, that's so basic, but it's the truth. Learning how to pause in the middle of the day in a high stress job for 60 seconds, closing your eyes, going in the bathroom, connecting with your heartbeat, feeling the energy flow, and then telling yourself how worthy, how beautiful, how amazing, how incredible you are in the mirror and connecting your eyes. That can shift everything. Imagine if you did that every 30 minutes. Imagine if you did it once an hour. It's consistency that changes it. There's not this big thing. There's not someone who's going to come in and save you. It's you consistently showing up for you each and every day and knowing, not believing, knowing that romance is your destiny and you are meant to have an incredible. And I'd like to also note, the clitoris wasn't really understood or found until like the 90s. So a woman connecting with her sexuality, like we have been given such a gift in this generation to unlock such pleasure and understand our bodies on a different level than no other woman has before. So why not take advantage of that?
Wow. Wow. Connect with yourself daily.
Yeah.
And you're a mom of two boys. So tell me about sober motherhood and what.
Yes. Yes. So being a mom is something that is such a gift and a treasure. But I'm somebody who, before becoming a mom, I was like, okay, I've taken 26 credit hours, made the honor roll, got into a top second bachelor's dietetics program, planned a wedding, like all within the same like few months. I can stay up for a few nights. I can like being a mom, I got this, right? And each of my boys allowed for different transitions, like any child is going to, right? They're going to give you gifts and they're going to show you things that you can work on, that you can release, that you can heal, and that you can connect more deeply with. Being a sober mom truly has been such a gift. I get to be present with them. And then also, I get to have those talks with them when I do drop the ball. And I get to say to them, that wasn't okay. Mommy shouldn't have yelled at you. Like, I shouldn't have taken my anger out on you. Mommy's working on that. I love you. You know, and having those conversations, you know, in sobriety, you learn how to make amends. You learn how to take radical responsibility. And I feel as a mom, that's one of the greatest gifts that I can give to my kids is to show them that I'm human and that I'm not perfect, but to acknowledge it.
Right.
And to let them know. Also, I've locked myself in the bathroom before to do my EFT tapping, to get out my anger so I don't take it out on my children. Being sober means that I have the ability to take action and be intentional with my choices as a mom. But there's been mom guilt that comes up, mom shame that comes up. Being sober means you're very aware and that, you get to feel it all. So,
Right.
yeah, it's been a journey. That's for sure.
Oh,
One
yes.
that's beautiful and I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, and I love that you talk about the making amends and radical responsibility, because that's what we teach our kids as well when we're sharing that. So I love that you bring that up and that you talk about that, because it is very much that it's not, they do what we do, and you see it as a mother of adult children. I can tell you that no matter what you say, they do what you do. So it's beautiful that you bring that up, because that's something that you're teaching them, and that's very beautiful. um, so pleasure and intimacy, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, first of all, if we leave pleasure to only the bedroom, you're setting yourself up for disaster. So if you are only expecting to experience pleasure in the bedroom, first of all, that's probably going to be like a very stuck energy because you're putting so much pressure on the bedroom. So to experience pleasure in the bedroom, then there's going to be a lot of pressure that goes on it. So the first thing I can say is learn to incorporate pleasure into your daily life. Learn what turns you on and learn what turns you off. And be very mindful. Take your power back and really incorporate those pleasureful experiences into your life. Because then in the bedroom, when you have those pleasureful experience, it's the cherry on top instead of the I have to have it, or if this doesn't happen, then there's something wrong with us. Here's the thing with intimacy is into me see. You're seeing into somebody fully. And that was a huge part of my marriage, that during the infidelity, I was pushing my husband away because I didn't want him. I hated myself. And I was like, oh my God, if he sees that I'm not perfect, he'll leave me. Well, none of us are perfect, but I was afraid of him to fully get to know me. I was really afraid whenever he'd come to me with things, I would get super defensive because I never wanted him to see that it was my fault. So intimacy, there's 4 parts. We have mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. So when we look at intimacy, it's not, that's 25% is physical. And then you take physical, and that means like rubbing somebody on the back and complimenting them, asking about their day, rubbing their hand, giving them a hug, having a makeout session in the kitchen for no reason for 5 minutes. It doesn't lead to sex. It's truly intimacy means we care about the person. Intimacy means, just the other night, my husband and I stayed up for hours talking and connecting and sharing things, but that happens all the time. So it's really, when that really good things happen to you, Carla, and you go, it's who do you call first? And if you're in a romantic partnership, if you're in a long-term marriage, if the first person you call when that awesome thing happens, right? Like I have 3 go-to people and my husband is one of those, right? And so it's choosing. Love is an action. You're choosing. Intimacy isn't just magically happen. We have to take action. And if there is romantic toxicity in your family line, more than likely it's going to feel uncomfortable, and more than likely healthy love, your brain isn't wired for that. And so you have to be very deliberate and very intentional with your choices on a daily, moment to moment, sometimes basis of what am I choosing? Am I choosing to put my walls up and push my partner away? Or am I choosing to connect, to love, to forgive, to have the courageous conversations? Because let me tell you, my husband and I, we have a imperfect, happy marriage. We argue, we fight, and we don't agree on everything. And I used to think that meant that there was something wrong, when actually there's so much right, because I didn't marry a robot.
Right.
He's not gonna agree with me on everything, and that's a beautiful thing.
Right. And you're each being your authentic, real selves with each other, and really having real good discussions, which can mean there's stuff that comes up, but it's beautiful that he's your go-to person. And so thinking about who's your go-to person, is there anything else you would suggest that somebody like really think about when they're first starting because it is so uncomfortable to make the shift?
I mean, for me, like I shared with you at the beginning, I moved back in with my parents so I could pay a mortgage payment to a coach. Like I needed an outsider opinion. I needed a mentor, and I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
I was 4 years sober. I graduated with honors from college. I had a good job. And so on the outside, I called myself a dressed up trash can because I was a mess on the inside. And so I knew that if I did the same thing that I've always done, I was just like, I'm over this.
Right.
And so to me, the first thing is to really find that person who can hold space for you, support you, and also have those conversations and tell you things that you may not want to hear. So to allow for you to really come back home to yourself, become your unapologetic self, own, because, finding that partner is one part, but being able to create and build that partnership is a completely different thing. And learning like when to let go, when to stay. It's something that only the person can decide, but having a mentorship is a huge part of my success. And it's also my determination, my persistence, my commitment. I'm a woman who I show up and take imperfect action, and I mess up all the time, and I move anyways. And so if you're looking to create love like never before and create that life far beyond your wildest dreams, to me, I think mentorship is the way to do that, because I read all the self-help books. I took the courses, and it wasn't until I really hired somebody one-on-one that things shifted. And also it's when I decided.
And how can people work with you? What do you offer? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm a real person. Connect with me, send a message to me on Facebook. I'd love to connect with you. And I work one-on-one. I do VIP one-on-one immersion weekends. I do one-on-one private work. So if you wanted to sign up for like a 3, a 6, or a 12-month one-on-one private mentorship with Voxer access, which Voxer is like a walkie-talkie. So we'd work together in there and have one-on-one sessions. There's also group programs, new group programs that are coming out soon. And if you're like, I want to kind of get to know more of who you are and what your coaching is like, the freebie that I gave Carla, click on that and join. And there is so much in that library for you to come to really get a feel for and to walk away with so many shifts.
That's beautiful. And before I let you go, do you want to talk a little bit about your podcast that you have out, just so
Oh,
that
yeah.
everybody, you just came out with your podcast? You
Yeah,
know, it's
thank
just
you so much. I'd
amazing.
love to. Yeah. Um, I am loving it. It's called the Unapologetic Woman Podcast. We haven't even been out for a month, and we're coming up on 700 downloads, which is like incredible for the podcast world. And this week we're going to be releasing, I know we're pre-recording, but this week we're releasing an episode with Shamina Taylor. And it's a powerful, incredible conversation. And if you are looking to really be impacted by powerful, successful, happy, sexually alive women, tune into the podcast, because I bear it all. I share intimate details about my life, my healing, and my journey that I've never shared publicly. And I share it on the podcast because I'm ready to be of service in a whole nother dimension. So if you wanna know all this stuff and really see the evolution of it, come click on the podcast and join us. And I can't wait to have you as a listener.
Thank you so much for everything, Jen. Everything. Is there any last nuggets you want to share before we let them go? Or
Be your unapologetic self. It's the greatest gift you can give to the world. And if you're afraid of losing somebody because you might piss them off by being who you are meant to be, they weren't meant to be in your life anyways. And I am just so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
absolutely. Thank you for being here.